Hello, everybody. So I promised you that I would keep you in the loop with Muffin's care. This is my friend Tracy.
Hello.
Tracy is my new vet tech, actually Muffin's new vet tech, and she's coming to the house, which means so much, Tracy,
Yeah.
because it's so much easier for me, especially, to know that she's in a comfortable place. We've got the
Yeah.
healing dog music going.
Mm-hmm.
Muffin is comfortable. She's got her own bed. She's in her corner, and Tracy is here to give her sub-Q fluids. So why does Muffin need sub-Q fluids, Tracy?
So Muffin has kidney disease, so it means that her kidneys are not working properly. They're not filtering out the toxins in her body. And when you give fluids to a dog, whether it's IV or sub-Q, it helps to flush the kidneys out so they can work better. So she is getting her fluids sub-Q, which means under the skin, to help rehydrate her and get her body back to where it needs to be. Thank you, Mama.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this every day for a week at a higher amount to kind of get her where she needs to be, recheck her values, and hopefully get her maintaining her body at the best that it can for her age.
So if you can kind of walk us through the things that you're doing, and I have to tell you guys, my vet said that I could do this myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this myself. I can't stick a needle in my dog.
Yeah.
It's
not
like,
for everybody.
No, it's not for everybody. And, I wouldn't say that I was being shamed into it, but a little bit was, like, you got to take care of her. You got to do, and so Tracy here is making it so that I don't have to, just the thought of putting a needle in Muffin is too much for me, but also for her, I don't want her to ever think that I'm going to come at her and put a needle in her.
Yeah, they definitely associate positive and negatively, and I see it all the time. I go over to houses and walking dogs, and they associate me with that and they're happy, or I come over and I poke them and they associate that and they're not too happy. So they definitely do build that association, and it's not for everyone. You don't have to do this. There are a ton of vet techs that will help do this, but your vet does it all the time. We are there for a reason. We can help you, but I also like to teach people, if they want to, if they're capable, how to do it on their own. I always approach it in that way, that if you feel comfortable, that is the ultimate goal, but you never have to feel obligated. That I am here to help you in whatever capacity works. So, if it never works to do it on your own, it doesn't have to, but you can do it on your own. It is possible, and some people totally capable and some aren't, and either way is totally fine.
Well, Muffin's getting a little bit restless, so let's get this show on the road.
All right. So basically, I'm right-handed, so how I always set up my fluid demos is telling people, for me, the easiest way is when their head is facing the left, so that I can poke with my right hand. You can, if you're left-handed, obviously it's going to be the opposite way. If you were to try to do this on your own, it is definitely less easy, but doable. But we have two people here, so we're going to have one person holding. Mom's going to be holding, and I am obviously going to be poking. I am going to make a little tent with her scruff. This is where they have the most skin. So with the skin being elastic, this is where we're going to have the best ability to fill her with the fluids that she needs. I'm going to make a little tent, and then I'm going to poke the needle in at, usually we suggest a 45-degree angle, but I do have some patients where currently that doesn't work. Oh yeah, tell me all about it. So you have to play around with the positioning, what works best for you. So basically, we're going to use our needle. We're going to give a little poke, and then I have the line up back here.
Yeah, here, look, you guys. So the fluids are, they're up here hanging.
So use letting gravity do the work for us. So then it's going to flow down. It'll flow faster than not. Basically, we're going to give her a certain amount that the doctor calculated that will be best for her. She's going to have a little bubble on the back of her neck, which will fill with the fluids, and then sometimes it moves. So if you are doing this and you find that it's on the side instead of on the back, that's totally okay. Excuse me. So, and sometimes it leaks a little bit, fine too. They're not necessarily going to like the little poke that's going to happen. And if they wiggle, I tell people you just try again. You just keep going, and it only hurts for a second, and then they're going to feel much, much better afterwards. Right, Muffin?
I think it took us 2 tries yesterday.
Yep, 2 tries, yep.
And she was very calm, so I hope that happens again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. And I tell everyone what works one day may not work another day, and that's totally okay. You have to figure out what does work and then go with that. So if what we do now doesn't work, we just pivot, we adjust, and we keep going. And you just stay calm. They can sense your energy. Hence why we have this calming music as well. If you are anxious, they're going to be anxious. And it is an anxious situation. So don't feel bad if you are, but just remember to just keep loving up on them and lots of good words and TLC.
Just so you know, this is healing music for dogs. Just go on YouTube and find healing music for dogs, and it has a frequency. And you know what? It feels like I feel more calm too with the music.
It is legit. I definitely do recommend it. I'm a very big believer in music as therapy and energy, and I think it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Do this.
So make sure that you are able to visualize where the bag is for the levels, as well as get access to opening up the line, because you don't want to go and poke and then you can't get it, because the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to wiggle and then the needle comes out, and if it's flowing, there's just the fluids going everywhere. That's totally fine. These things happen. Another thing is, if you go to poke and you go through, all you do is just adjust. It is scarier because you don't know, and it doesn't have to be that scary. So now you will know, and you can make this work. All right, so here we go. All right, Muffin. I'm going to part the skin a little bit because she's got long hair. I'm going to make my tent. I'm going to give a little poke. She may cry. She may wiggle.
Oh, she wiggles.
And then see how I just backed up? We just try again.
It's okay, baby.
And listen to them. They can't talk, so this is their only way to tell us if they're happy or not. It's okay, Muffin.
Okay. She's like, you did this to me yesterday.
Yeah, and they remember. They totally remember.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mama. Good girl.
Oh, good girl.
Sometimes they recommend poking fast. Sometimes they recommend poking slow. I tend to go a little bit slower because I feel that's just what works best for patients. I don't need to literally stab them.
Oh.
Okay.
It's okay, baby. Mama's got
And
you.
so obviously we have 2 people, so we're holding her legs down. I'm kind of holding my hand on the back of her neck to stabilize her.
And I've got her in a pretty firm grip.
Yeah, so her back is being pressed up against Mom, so she can't really wiggle away. So if you were doing this by yourself, I would suggest making a V with your legs and making sure if they want to back up, they're going back up into you. You can also wrap them up in a towel. And now as it's flowing in, I'm just feeling it. I can kind of gauge how much she's getting if I can't see based on the size of the bubble, because I'm used to doing this. But I'll just make sure I look up and I'm keeping an eye on where we're going so that she gets it. A little bit more and a little bit less is fine. It's not going to hurt her. It's only going to help her. But obviously we want her to get enough. We don't want to underdo it because we want her to be getting enough fluids to help flush her out. You're so good, girl.
You're doing great, Mom.
You're doing so good.
So, for those of you who don't know, Muffin is 16 years old. She was 16 in September.
Aww.
And Traci was telling me she even has a dog that's 19 years old that she does this for. So it seems like this is something that is really life-sustaining and super helpful. You don't think about it as a therapy, water therapy. Is it just water in that bag, or is it saline?
So this isn't saline, but I believe it has like electrolytes in it. I gotta find where I put the cap. Oh, there it is.
Oh, and then you said you do something right after you pull the needle out.
So I pull the needle out sometimes because it is a larger needle. I will, like you can see right here, there's a little bit of blood. Sometimes I like to pinch where we poked so that I'm just holding it together. But water will, the fluids will leak out a little bit, and that's totally okay. You obviously don't want them all to leak out, which is not going to happen, but sometimes we also hit a superficial blood vessel, so if they bleed a little bit, that's okay. White dogs, we call little white dog syndrome, where you poke them, they bleed, and they will just continue bleeding.
Really?
And it's like sometimes it was a massacre.
Oh my God.
So if you have a white dog and something like that happens and there's a lot of blood, don't worry about it. It's not like it's a thing. I don't know what it is, but it happens, and it doesn't help that they're white.
It hasn't happened yet with Muffin. God, I don't know what I would do.
I know. It's honestly scarier than not, even as a vet tech for 18 years, seen it work when they are bleeding like that. It's scary. And now Muffin's probably going to go and rub around and rub everywhere.
She's gonna roll around and do her thing.
And her bubble may shift a little bit to the side, and that's okay. It happens. Again, their skin is elastic, and it doesn't hurt. It probably is uncomfortable. It probably doesn't feel great, but obviously we do this and we have the ability to do this, so I don't think this is something that is torture to them. They may not like it, but animals adjust way better than we do. They are so much more adaptable, and something like this is a great option, whereas we could not do that to ourselves. We don't have the ability with our skin to do this. So I think this is a wonderful option that gives people the time they need with their pets to help them, where sometimes hospitalizing them and putting them on IV fluids, it's just financially not reasonable.
Right, that's like a $5,000 bill at least,
it depends on how sick they are. And I've never worked with a vet who hasn't tried to find options, and these are the options that we are very fortunate to be able to do for our patients, and that people are able to do for their pets. So it's a great alternative. Again, it's not for everyone, and if you are presented in this situation, you have this diagnosis, it doesn't mean that there aren't options. Good vets will discuss the options with you, and if you don't feel that's happening, advocate for yourself and your pet. Find someone that will. Do your research. You have this wonderful video now that hopefully will reach out and help everybody. If you're in the same situation and you didn't even know what your options are, at least you have this now. But kidney disease is not easy. This will give us some more time, and that's all we could want, is keeping our pets happy and comfortable at home.
Wonderful. Wow. Thank you so much. Whoops. Thank you so much, Traci. I am so glad to have someone like Traci around, and I'm going to keep her around. So I'm going to make sure I do a bunch of videos with Traci in the future. So get used to seeing her on the Beach Report, because, our animals, they're our members of our family. Yeah. And I know how much you guys love Muffin and how important she is to everybody. So it's kind of like I've got a team all throughout South Florida, actually, and Traci just joined the team of keeping Muffin healthy and happy.
And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And she is a happy girl. And I want you guys to know that too. Some people, when their dogs get really old, and they might prolong the inevitable, and their dog suffers through it. And nobody ever wants to do that. But there are some ways that you can tell if your dog is unhappy with their lives. And so if you could just run through that little checklist for us, so we know.
We call it a quality of life conversation. So obviously they can't talk to us. They don't have words. They only have so many ways that they can tell us what's going on. And the things that we run through are, if they're eating and drinking, if they're acting themselves. If your pet stops eating, it doesn't mean that they're at the end of their life, but it is their way of telling you something that's going on. Sometimes it means more, sometimes it means less. Sometimes it just means like they didn't want to eat that day. They can be picky eaters. But ultimately, we're going to ask those questions when somebody comes in and says that, they have an older pet that isn't doing well. We have to see, well, what is their quality of life? Are they happy? Are they comfortable? And are we doing right by them? So if you have an animal that hasn't been eating for days, that's not okay. That doesn't mean that it's time, but we have to try to figure out why, if we're in the means to figure out why. I always tell my clients, you know your pet best. I'm going to have myself elaborate conversations to help you figure out if it is time. And we are fortunate to have, you know, humane euthanasia when the time is appropriate to relieve their suffering. And I don't want anyone to ever think that that is not an option. But it is not the only option. So we really need to make sure that when we're making that decision, it is the right time and the right thing for that pet. And no matter what, when you're going through that, it is not easy to make. And if you are making that, just know that you're not alone doing it. You have your vet team there to help you determine that. But just always remember, you know them best, and think about what they do and how they act and if they feel okay based on that.
Thank you. There is really nothing worse than losing your best friend.
Yeah.
And I don't want to think about it, but you know, I know that it's gonna happen, and I know that I have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
But the most important thing to me is that Muffin's quality of life is good, and
Exactly.
I see her happy. I see her
She's got
engaged.
a lot of spunk and energy.
Yeah. So I don't think she's anywhere near.
No.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
way,
Thank
not
you
at
for
all.
saying that.
I just was telling my other client, who's the pet is 19, that how much fluid she had to get based on her values, and he gets like only less than half of that. And you know, they were a little shocked, and they were like, oh my gosh, and they were like, is she okay? And I'm like, she is so spunky, full of energy. Mm-hmm. She's not giving me any indication that she is not in this fight and willing to fight. And that's how you know, is that even me not knowing her well, I can see that she is not sick. This is the start of it. This might have been going on for some time, but she is definitely just full of life and incredible. So yeah, just running around this place like nothing. Like, she's not 16. Like, she's still a puppy.
I can't turn the
camera
around.
She's so funny. I love her.
She is. Good old Muff. Look there we go. Hey, girlfriend.
She's like, where are all the chicken chips?
Yeah, she's into chicken chips these days.
Yeah, they love them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Traci, for everything, especially for the care that you're giving to Muffin. I can't tell you what it means to me.
Yeah.
And to all of you guys. So I know that you guys are also grateful to Traci. All right. Well, that is this episode of the Beach Report. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Beach Report. Ciao for now.